Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Delagua Nuñez Natural Processed Colombia from Onyx Coffee Roasters. And there's the box right there. Alright, and first Onyx coffee review of the year. This coffee was suggested to me by one of my subscribers, and it did finish fourth in that blind taste test video. I probably would have purchased this coffee on my own though, because I was pretty intrigued about this coffee and something I definitely wanted to try. Now the reason it finished fourth on that day, and the reason I was able to pick this coffee out, was actually process of elimination. I was only able to tell it was this coffee because I was better able to tell the rest of the coffees on that table. And this coffee, having not tried it before that video, it was pretty wine forward. They did have a wine flavor note listed on there, and that was pretty consistent throughout this coffee, and we'll discuss that a little more in detail shortly. But I'm glad that this finished fourth in that blind taste test video, because truth be told, this was probably my second least favorite, my fourth favorite coffee that I've been drinking these past couple of weeks. Alright, let's get some quick details out of the way. For those that don't know, Onyx typically does have a YouTube or an Instagram video that has a brew guide for all of their coffees, but they didn't have one for this coffee, which is a little unfortunate. So I've been using my standard recipe 16.67 to 1 at 204 degrees Fahrenheit. I did adjust my grind setting a little bit, 1 to 2 clicks more fine, because this coffee did have a very quick drawdown time. But that recipe, funny enough, it's an Onyx recipe. That's where I have my Chemex recipe from, is Onyx, and this was brewed through the Chemex. Onyx's coffee tends to be on the American light medium side, and this one's definitely on the light medium, slightly more towards medium for this one specifically though. Alright, let's go ahead and start talking about this coffee. And day 8, my first impression, pretty alcohol, pretty dark chocolate, bitterness, and some slight fruit in the background. Wasn't necessarily enjoying it the first day, but again, that alcohol, very common theme. Pretty alcohol tasting coffee on day 11 as well, some subtle fruits, but fermented grape was the most prominent thing yet again. And day 14 was the best day I had of this coffee. Much more fruit variety in it, some fermented grape taste, wine notes, and you could have perhaps primed yourself into believing maybe a grape gummy bear. And then day 16, still a slight aroma of some fermentation, but this one had a lot more of those raspberry notes, very raspberry jam, chocolate notes notable with some winey finish. And day 18 again, pretty similar for that coffee. I didn't play around with this coffee too much because I felt like I was getting it correct. This is the way this coffee is supposed to taste. And for that reason, there wasn't a whole lot of reason to experiment with it. I just got the recipe right, I just didn't necessarily enjoy it in my mind. Let me go ahead and put up the tasting wheel though so you can see what I was getting. And the 4 things at the highest: berry fruit, because pretty raspberry coffee, and grape is technically a berry, so could have maybe been a 5, but I think it's perfect out of 4. Pretty acidic coffee, pretty sweet coffee, and had a pretty lasting finish. Some other things I did want to point out about this coffee though: chocolate could have been higher, could have been 4, bitter dark chocolate. And that's where the bitterness comes from at that level 3. It's not coffee bitterness, it's that dark chocolate taste bitterness to the coffee. Body could have gone between 2 and a 3. I left it at 3, but today it was probably better as a 2. Definitely not the cleanest cup of coffee, and overall I'm pretty happy with the way that this tasting wheel looks. I feel like this is very representative of this coffee, which was a extremely consistent coffee actually. Throughout the entire time I've been drinking it, had remarkably similar characteristics from start to finish. And again, it's safe to say that this wasn't my specific taste. I love Onyx, easily one of my favorite coffee roasters in the world. But I found a lot of the time with Onyx, I either have a coffee I truly just love to no end, or a coffee that I'm not the biggest fan of, and this one was on the not the biggest fan of side. But who I would suggest this coffee to? Funny, I actually suggested this coffee to a friend just yesterday, somebody that was looking for something with a little bit more, red fruits, wine characteristics sort of coffee. And that's perfect for them. I think if you like Kenyas, actually, I feel like this coffee might be a kind of fun one to go with. Something a little different from a Kenya, but is natural processed here as well. It does share quite a few characteristics to some Kenyan coffees. I definitely feel like there are a lot of people that would enjoy this coffee, it just wasn't my taste. So I'm going to leave it at that though. If you have tried this coffee, please let me know what you thought of it. And I always love hearing people's opinions on Onyx, so if you have any new thoughts or interesting thoughts on Onyx, please let me know. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and like this video if you're enjoying the content. But this right here has been a review of the Delagua Nuñez Natural Process Colombia from Onyx. Thank you for watching.